It's 2:30 a.m. I've already showered. I put the coffee to brew, but you know what? It is not working. I gone over the steps 1 through 6 all over again a couple of times and still no luck. I think I may not have coffee this morning. I may have to drink airplane coffee, which I should be grateful that there is airplane coffee, right? All right, time to get ready. I actually got some sleep last night, a good solid 7 hours. I took a Tylenol PM just before 7 o'clock, and at 7 o'clock it was lights out, and I slept solid until 2 a.m. this morning. So a small victory. Yay, I got some sleep. I feel much better than yesterday. I'm nearly all ready. I just need to do like lipstick and finishing touches and I'm done. I have good news though. Yesterday in my video, I was talking about how I was desperately trying to trade out of these trips that had me starting in Fort Lauderdale instead of the Miami International Airport. And I was worried because I've never flown out of that airport, one, so I have a little bit of anxiety about that. Two, it's not as easy to commute to Fort Lauderdale on an airplane as it is Miami. And three, if I had to drive there, which was going to be the case if I couldn't get out of that trip, then it was going to cost me a lot of money. I was going to have to pay tolls to drive from Orlando to Fort Lauderdale. I was going to have to pay daily parking for a 3-day trip, which my guess is maybe $100 or 75, and then gas. So that would have cost me money to work. Good news is overnight, all 3 of my trips traded for trips that begin in Miami. So I am relieved at that. Little wins, victories. I'm telling you, today is full of victories. I can feel it. But yeah. So it is 3:35 a.m. now. Bizarre. I never thought that I'd be someone that would be waking up so early in my life. Before this, I sold real estate, but I would work in an office like from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, like totally banker's hours. And even sometimes I would run late for that. Like I would start at 9, but sometimes I would get there at 9:15, 9:30. But yeah, I was the kind of person to always hit snooze, to not be a morning person at all. But wow, how my life has changed into a total 360. Is that right? 360, like a full turnaround? I think so. 360 degrees. I think so. If I'm wrong, let me know. All right, time to go get dressed. So this is the sad coffee pot that I filled up. I got it all loaded up to brew. It brews 4 cups of coffee, but it did not work. It's all loaded. You see the red light on there? I kept hitting start and it never turned on. So I have had 0 cups of coffee this morning. But that's okay. I'll make it through the day and I can always get airplane coffee, as I said. So this morning I am traveling from Mexico City to Phoenix, Arizona, then from Phoenix, Arizona to Minneapolis-St. Paul. And I believe that the hotel that I am staying at, if I remember correctly, is connected to the Mall of America. So I may have a little walk around, but that's what I have in store for me next. I'm working as the number 3 flight attendant, and we are going to be flying on the Boeing 737. And what I do is I help in first class with the number 1, and I also help in main cabin. So I'm split between the front and the back, doing service in both sides, or actually not doing service in first class. It's whatever the number 1 needs me to help with. Sometimes it's just handing out the hot towels. Well, the number 1 gets ready with their galley. Sometimes it's handing out wet towels, warm towels, and the nuts, getting the nuts ready in the ramekin. And sometimes the number 1 doesn't need any help at all if there's enough time. So it all depends on how much or how little they want to use me. But that's what I have in store. So let's get on with today's adventure. Before I forget, I will mention that Phoenix from Mexico City is 1,251 miles. It looks like it is slotted for 3 hours and 25 minutes, but I'm sure when the captain gives us his briefing, it'll be a little bit less than that, because it always seems like they shave off a little bit of time. So that's what I have in store. And you know what? We're not a full flight. Wow, I'm showing that there are 93 available seats. So yay, another little victory. Today is full of victories. The magic word of the day, or the word of the day, is victory, right? Good things are coming my way. I'm going to keep putting it out into the universe. Good things are coming my way. And goodbye, hotel room. Until next time. And I promise Mexico City, the next time I come, I will venture out. I will make sure that I am well rested. But before I leave, I think I forgot to show the view in yesterday's video. So let's look at the view of Mexico City this morning. This is a busy street. Do you see the moon out there? This is a really, really huge city. And that's a neat looking building. All right, Mexico City, until next time. I made it to St. Paul, Minnesota, and all I can say is that it is freezing here. 18 degrees. So cold. The snow can show you, or the snow does show you how cold it is. One of the first things that I did was turn this bad boy to 75. Because it's freezing just a little bit. It is cold. No joke, it's cold. Okay, so I have flown from Mexico City to Phoenix, now Phoenix to Minneapolis. I saw a ton of things. I'm now checked into my hotel. Before I get a case of the lazies, I'm going to walk over to the Mall of America because I can get to the Mall of America through like a pedestrian walkway. So I don't have to brave the cold at all. So I changed, I got dressed. I'm just gonna go have a look around there just for a little bit, and I may get something to eat because I'm tired of eating what I brought. So let's go have a look. Shall we? just walked through that corridor right there, and so that takes me from the hotel over to the Mall of America, and over on the other side, right in front of me, it's like an indoor amusement park. Okay, first we'll start off with the room tour. So here we have the front door. There's a very loud like carpet cleaner out there. Full-length mirrors and closets on the other side. Hangers, iron. Ironing board. And we have the bathroom. I'm not sure how I feel about these showers that are missing like half the wall, because I feel like it always splashes water out. A nice big bed. The room now is like a little bit too hot since setting up that heater. I cranked it to 75, it was too hot, so now it's at 72. And the mall was so warm. So Dylan, I wonder if he's from Minneapolis. And then a baseball player, Mauer. I'll have to look it up. Famous Minneapolis places, people. A chair, a nice chair to sit on. And a desk. And of course, the view of a frigid Minneapolis. I'm going to eat and then I will do my debrief. I'll go ahead and what happens is if I can't get to my little notebook in my pocket, I'll put the note in my phone to write down later. Then since I record with my phone, I have to compile them onto that little notebook. So I'm gonna sit here and write down all the notes that I wrote in my phone onto a sheet of paper or my little notebook. And my purpose walking over to the mall is I mentioned I might find something to eat. So I did go to a teppanyaki place and I got teriyaki chicken and teriyaki beef with some steamed vegetables and brown rice. Now this is a ton of food for $13. There's no way that I can finish this, but I'm happy to have a nice warm meal. So brown rice and some beef and some teriyaki chicken and some steamed veggies. I hope I showed that correctly. So time for my debrief. I have this weird hair that keeps sticking out like this. I keep tucking it under. Okay, sorry about that. So time for the debrief. So from Mexico City this morning to Phoenix, our pickup time in Mexico City was 4:15 a.m. I woke up at 2 a.m. to allow myself plenty of time to get ready and to enjoy some coffee, but my coffee pot, it didn't work. It's like, I don't know, everything else was lining up and was so good, it's been so good, but the morning started off with a broken coffee pot. I loaded the water in there, I loaded the coffee in there, I hit brew and it didn't brew. I tried to troubleshoot. Usually I'm pretty good at troubleshooting things, but no coffee. So that's how my morning started out. I noticed on my tablet when I was looking ahead of the time, so before I get to the airport or on my way to the airport, I usually pull up the fly and I see if we have any specials, like if we have any customers with special needs, like perhaps they're blind and they might need a Braille safety card, or they may need a special a passenger may need a special briefing. We always look for wheelchairs. We also look for unaccompanied minors, pets in cabin, service animals, all that stuff. So I always have a look over to see, what's going to be on my flight, who's going to be on my flight, how many people are going to be on my flight. And I noticed that we had 100 available seats. Like, all of our flights are always booked to the max or oversold. So that was a nice thing today for all of us. We kind of got a break. The number one in front, her first class was not completely full. And main cabin, it was not completely full. So we went through service really quickly. It's a little bit of a break, a welcome break. We really welcomed that and enjoyed it. The car ride from the hotel in Mexico City to the airport was so much faster. And that just goes to show you what traffic does. On the way to the hotel, I would say it probably took us 40 minutes. And this morning from the hotel to the airport took about 15, 20 maybe, but it felt more like 15. It was really quick. Right here, I wrote down, let me tell you about jump seat number 3. When you are the number 3 flight attendant, your jump seat on this 737 on the Boeing. Now, when I first started flying, this jump seat used to not scare me, but it definitely had me like on my toes a little bit more. So the jump seat is right next to the flight deck door. Like, the flight deck the door is here, and then our jump seats are right outside of that, and it's kind of like my back is to it. And I'm closest, I'm sitting aisle side, so I'm closer to the flight deck than the number 1 is. It's a double jump seat. The number 1 and the number 3 sit there. I'm closer to the flight deck door, being a flight attendant number 3. And I can hear lots of things during takeoff and landing when that go on in the flight deck, like little, not alarm bells, but cautionary sounds to the pilots. I can also hear, like, when we're landing, I can hear like the elevation countdown, like 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, and then I know, like, oh, we're gonna touch ground. I also hear the landing gear come up when we're taking off. So I can hear, once we have, we're in the air, I can hear the landing gear coming in, and I can hear what I think is the wheel from the front landing gear spinning around, because it makes this weird, like, whirring noise almost, like, and in my head, I'm imagining that it's that wheel spinning around and around from taking off so fast, because I think we go around 250 miles an hour, 260 miles an hour, maybe right before we take off. I believe that's the correct speed. I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, or if someone out there knows more about aviation, tell me if that sounds like the correct speed for the takeoff of a Boeing 737. I think it is. I hope so. But correct me if I'm wrong. So yeah, I can hear lots of stuff that goes on in there. And I wanted to tell you this funny story. So me and my classmate, it was like 4 of us, 4 new hires, one of our first trips, and we were going to San Pedro Sula, I think. I think we're going to Honduras. She is in the process. She's almost done, and she will be a pilot soon, very soon. But during this time, she was a flight attendant. She had already taken some pilot courses and had been up in a plane doing some flight hours, some training. We were getting ready to land, and she was like, I didn't hear the landing gear come down. And she was a number 1 and I was a number 3. And I said, you didn't? And she said, no. And I said, I don't know the sound. Like, I haven't been flying enough to know what the landing gear sounds like. And she goes, I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it come down. Should I call the flight deck? And I looked at her and I'm thinking, like, no, you're not supposed to call the flight deck unless it's an emergency. And who are we flight attendants to tell them how to fly the airplane? I just thought that was a funny story. Like today when I was sitting in my jump seat and I thought, oh, tell them about jump seat number 3. And then I thought, oh my God, I can't believe that day when she asked if she should call the flight deck to make sure their landing gear was down. Terrible, right? Terrible. When I see her, I'm going to remind her of that. She's going to probably laugh. But that was a newbie, new hire little thing. We didn't call them. They knew what they were doing. Okay, so on the flight from Mexico City to Phoenix, I was doing the safety demonstration, and every now and then I see a passenger with his VR headset on. So this passenger had his VR headset, and if you've ever seen him, it's like white and it has like this big like screen here, but you can't see what they're like. You can't see through it. They're not like sunglasses. It's like frosted or something, that big part like this. Well, I guess I've never paid attention to the VR headsets because I'm doing my safety demo and I look over to the guy, and the guy's like 3 rows like in front of me, the 3rd row in front. And he has these eyeballs on it. Like, I don't know if they were his eyes or if they were like a computer eyes. They look like human eyes, but they look like human eyes that were computerized. But he was watching me do the safety demo, and it was like the freakiest thing because these computer eye things were looking at me, and I wanted to laugh and I wanted to know more. And yeah, I don't know. Do you know, do you think they were his real eyes that were just computerized, like digitized? I don't know, but that caught me off guard. So I thought that was funny. Once we landed in Phoenix, we went through customs and immigration in Phoenix. So that was our first stop back on U.S. soil. So that's where I went through, showed them my passport. They asked if I had anything to declare. I didn't. And then that was done. So went through customs and immigration. And then we went on to our next gate, which was A24 at Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport. And then the next leg was Phoenix to MSP, Minneapolis-St. Paul. We got to gate A24 and we just waited for the plane to show up. We were tracking it and we saw that it was going to land in about 10 minutes. So we just found a seat because we knew we were going to have to wait for the plane to land. We were going to have to wait for all the passengers to come off, the crew to come off, and then for the cleaners to get on and clean it. And they do it quickly, but not quick enough that we wanted to be standing on our feet the entire time. So we sat there until it was ready for us to board. We got on, and then the pilot, the captain that was coming off of that plane, let us know that there was no APU. The airplane didn't have an APU. They weren't going to use it anymore, but they were going to tell the captain of our leg. So our captain informed us that we were not, and informed the passengers that we did not have an APU. I believe APU stands for Auxiliary Power Unit, I believe. And this, my guess is, powers the airplane when you're on the ground and helps like keep the aircraft cool. That's just my guess. I don't know. I've never taken an aviation course. If I'm wrong, correct me. But he just said passengers might get a little bit warm, but once we get in the air, we can cool it down. So that happened. Also learned on the way over. Also learned that it was going to be 18 degrees in Minneapolis-St. Paul. And yes, it is a chilly 18 degrees here today. And today, I was just thinking to myself, and I thought, what a wonderful day. Aside from the coffee pot fiasco, I saw 3 incredible things today. I saw a volcano as we were leaving Mexico City. And then I saw the mountains of the Arizona desert, which I missed so much. And then I saw the frozen lakes and tundra of Minneapolis. So I saw all 3 of those things today in one work day: a volcano, the desert, and the frozen land. It was just, I don't know, I'm lucky. And it was just neat. And it's a different world seeing it from above. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of cool and a good way to end this. Being grateful that I got to witness those 3 things. I just found a lot of joy in it. But that's it. I am done. Tomorrow, our pickup is at 4:30 a.m., which means I'll probably wake up at 2:30 a.m. I hope that my coffee pot works. Fingers crossed. Tomorrow is the last day. It's day 3 of this trip. and I am flying from Minneapolis-St. Paul to Charlotte, North Carolina, then Charlotte to Miami, and then I get to commute home to sleep in my bed for one night, but the very next day I start another 3-day trip. So stay tuned for the next adventure. All right, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a little thumbs up. And if you have not yet subscribed and you're interested in my life as a flight attendant, then please hit the subscribe button right there. All right, guys, good night.